On to something a bit more pleasant.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're noticing a bit of a recurring theme with that this evening.
A little dark.
Yeah. Oof. I mean, there's dark and then there's... I'm just going to turn this light on. That's better. New details have come forward with regards to Sonic Forces. My brother was telling me this the other day. Sonic is riding on what he can only describe as a Sonic-style version of the Millennium Falcon, going up to the Death Egg above the planet. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're doing this. They're doing a video game adaptation of the Genesis storyline. Because Win knows what I'm talking about. The Genesis storyline was an attempt to reboot the comic franchise, whereby Eggman takes the Death Egg up into the atmosphere, and it was going to roboticize the entire planet. And then it was because of that we ended up getting Sally roboticized, which I was not a fan of, but I let it slide because there were some decent parts of that story. But hearing those plot details, I just thought, wow, we're really going through with this.
So where did this Genesis storyline come from?
It was a storyline from Archie's in 2011, if I'm not mistaken, because there was a lot of legal stuff to deal with that guy. Sonic fans know exactly who I'm talking about because we don't speak of him. Yeah, there was a bunch of characters that he wanted to take away because he trademarked them, so they wanted to do a reboot where they could... It's essentially starting from scratch again, but they're not. They're just making sure that subtle references to said characters are taken away so there's no more legal issues, and just working with what they've got left. And it was also an attempt to do the Genesis way, which effectively would turn the current world into a different one. And it's where the characters, although they're still who they are, they have no recollection of what world they've come from until Sally's mini computer Nicole is able to restore them with the memories that they have from the previous world. And it then led into the Sonic Unleashed storyline. But what Eggman was attempting to do, because everyone knows the story from Satam, he wanted to turn every single citizen on the planet into a robotic slave of his because, you know, he's evil, he's maniacal, that's his shtick. And he was going to do this from the Death Egg, and as I just mentioned, Sally was able to find a way to reroute the whole thing to happen on the Death Egg, but it would happen at her location. And she ends up sacrificing her humanity, for lack of a better word, so that the rest of the planet doesn't have to suffer with it. And again, wasn't a fan of that particular angle, but then you get to appreciate a character more when you're not able to see them in the form that you love and appreciate them for. Like the expression says, you never fully appreciate someone or something until they're gone. And I think that was probably the comic storyline's attempt to do that, which was actually an interesting thing because what I remember reading through some of these, because somebody actually uploaded these as slideshows on one YouTube page. I think it's just called Archie Sonic slideshows or something to that effect. It actually gave some decent character development for Sonic because he actually became a leader for the first time and actually having to make quick judgmental decisions, think, well, hang on, is this the right decision? Am I making the right call with this? Because there'd be a couple of times where he'd think, you know, we need to rescue Sally, get her over to Rota's workshop and find a way to actually at least take Robotnik's control away from her. But then he'd actually see something else that goes like, prioritize here. And, you know, the locals here come first. We'll get her when we get her. And There was also when the comic was on a bit of a downward spiral because a lot of the characters that weren't game related were starting to look very similar to the game's art styles, and fans actually started rejecting that idea because they like these sort of different diversity, but they like the sort of variance between seeing Sonic in his game art style versus, say, someone like Rotor or Fiona Fox in the Archie Sonic art style, but giving Archie's a lot of mandates whereby they'd say, right, you need to change this character's art style to look more like the games and what have you. And that's when they gave Sally the redesign, where for so many years she just had the blue boots and the denim waist jacket, and now she's sporting still sporting a sleeveless jacket, but she's got a black tank top on with what a lot of people have described as skin-tight hot pants, which I thought, okay, that's a bit questionable for a kid's comic book. It's like, hey, you do you. You know, you obviously know what you're doing.
I would have preferred them as like biker shorts.
That would have worked too. That probably works too, but
each to their own.
Some people embraced it, some people didn't. I just looked and thought, look, you're getting to keep the character within the story. You know, why are we complaining? You know, each to their own. And it still burns me a little bit because they were 9 issues away from reaching issue 300. They got cut down at 291, and there was even, I think, a Patreon thing that they were asking fans to donate to because they were lacking funds to be able to finish it. I'm like, ooh, that's a worrying telltale sign, because they delayed 292. I think by the time they cancelled it, that issue had been delayed by about 9 months. Usually, if an issue is delayed more than, say, 2 to 3 months, the writing's on the wall by that point. And from what I understand, Archies were looking to distance themselves from the Sonic brand. I think they've been looking to distance themselves for quite a few years. Because then, of course, they started doing the dark drama series that they're doing, along with the Sabrina the Teenage Witch horror reboot that they're looking to do, which I'm very on the fence about, as I've said quite a few times over the last 7 weeks. I'll see a trailer, but when you take something as iconic as the Melissa Joan Hart series and the movie before that and try to turn it on its head and turn it into this really dark horror series,
you're desperate.
Yeah, it's going to irk a lot of people. I mean, with Buffy, the way Joss Whedon did it, it was dark, but it was campy. There were necessary pieces to keep each other balanced out. But if they're going to take Sabrina and turn her into a straight up horror series, I don't know. I have my doubts, but I'll see a trailer and then give an opinion afterwards. But I don't know.
My guess is this. I hope they don't mess up Salem, because that's basically my favorite part of the whole Melissa Joan Hart Sabrina series.
Yeah,
it is.
That cat, man.
I think the guy who voiced him also voiced one of the brothers in the Angry Beavers.
Yes, he was Norbert.
Yeah.
Norbert. Oh my god, I love that show.
Doug!
Yeah, there's the voice.
Speaking of the Cartoon Network show, Gorak Weaver shared this onto his timeline and into the Dynamic Night Entertainment forum. I think it's called OK KO Heroes. It was the episode where Captain Planet guest starred. David Coburn has still got it.
Oh, for real?
Oh wow! So it's the same voice actor then.
Nice.
They even got LeVar Barton to come back as Kwame. Hasn't missed a beat.
Wow!
Oh, now you make me want to watch that.
Yeah, from what I understand, OKKO is actually not bad.
Yeah, I also heard like in like the original episodes and like in the pilot Liquid Plaza Turbo, Stephanie Nadoni, aka Young Goku and Gohan voiced KO.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. What made
Makes
that?
sense because the character, the main character himself, looks like a straight up homage of like young Goku and like Ryu mixed together.
Yeah, I could definitely see heavy inspiration from Street Fighter with some of the character designs.
Oh snap! I remember one episode you had Jonathan Davis, the lead singer of Korn, guest star in the episode.
Wow.
Whoa.
One thing I thought was a real nice touch at the end of the episode, they did an homage to the Captain Planet PSAs at the end of their respective episodes, and they did it in the art style of that series, but with the characters from OKKO Heroes with them.
What?
Wow.
Oh god.
No, I have to see
I gotta look
this.
for this.
I looked at that, I'm like, okay, that's a nice touch. That's a real nice touch.
I always love it when these shows like to play around with their art styles.